Hi Book Dragons! I'm here today to do the second half of my March reading wrap up. I hope you noticed that my camera looks a little bit differently because I'm filming on a new camera and I'm still adjusting it to all the new stuff. So I want to wrap up the books I read in the second half of March. I'm actually filming this on March 31st. So let's get into it. It has not been my best reading month. Focus-wise, I will say that. I had a lot going on. If you want to hear more about that, go check out my vlogs and my reset vlog where I kind of chatted more through it. But I was able to read 19 things, which I think is pretty impressive for everything that I had going on this month. I read 6,568 pages, and a lot of that is due to Ramadan, I will say that. My average page today was 211 pages, which is pretty awesome for me. My average page count was 345, which means I've been reading some chunkier books, which is good, but it also explains why they took me a little bit longer to read. My most read genre was fantasy romance. I had quite a few fantasy romances on here as well. I read 8 books of rep and 16 from authors that I've read before, which is not a surprise at all. I had 3 5-star, 9 4-star, 6 3-star, and my average rating of 3.63. So, yes. I read 6 new releases. I read 6 new releases, 4 backlists, and 9 from last year. Again, we're still in the first quarter. Wrapping up the first quarter, it's going to be a lot of last year because a lot of books have not just come out yet. And I read format with 6 physical, 8 audio, 2 mixed media, and 3 audiobook. And at the, 3 ebook. And then at the end, I'm going to show you the books that I am keeping my collection, the books I'm getting rid of physically. I started 4 series. I continued in 6. I completed 3. I caught up with 7. And I read 2 standalones, at least as far as I am aware. I read 2 arcs, 0 from Audible this month, which is actually sort of surprising. 0 from KU, 6 from the library, 3 from NetGalley, 7 owned, and 1 from Everand. I read which is good. I can't believe I read no books from Audible. Oh wait, that's a mistake. I think, Mystery Guest, because I had the physical book of it, but I did read this on Audible, so. I read 3 fantasy romance, 3 YA contemporary, 2 mystery, 2 romance, 1 nonfiction, 2 fantasy, 3 middle grade fantasy, 1 graphic novel, 1 sci-fi, and 1 YA fantasy. So yeah, now let's get into the books. So the first book that I finished reading was Unstoppable. It has a much longer title, but it's by Maggie Nichols. I will attach a photo here. This was following her. She is known as Athlete A in the Nasser case, and it was just very, very interesting. I really feel that she was really treated very unfairly in the lead up to Tokyo, I think. Tokyo, yeah. No, was it Tokyo that she was treated unfairly? Tokyo, yeah. I think she was treated very, very unfairly. I can't remember if it was Tokyo or Rio. But she was treated very, very unfairly. So it was very, very interesting seeing it from her point of view. I really do like reading gymnastic biographies because it's the only sport that I really follow. But I liked it. If you're wanting to see her point of view, I would definitely read it. It also does have Simone Biles do the introduction, which I thought was very, very interesting. And it gave you a little bit of a dynamic into their relationship. And the next book I picked up was another audiobook, and that is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. And I will attach a photo here. This is one series that's sort of like another one I'm going to chat about. I think I need to give it another chance because I didn't like book 1 as much. I really liked book 2 quite a bit more, so I gave it 4 stars. But I feel like I was missing some connective tissues because book 1 did not make an impression on me because I read it physically. But I did like this book a little bit more. We got some new characters. It was more questy. We definitely learned more about the Fate Court, and I was really intrigued by it. But it's a series that I want to re-listen to again when I'm not rushing. I think that that's sort of where my head's at with that. But I had a fun time with it. I think it's definitely was an improvement for me over book 1. I think if you like Veronica Speedwell, I think you would love this series because for me, listening to the audiobooks really changed how I viewed it. If you don't know anything about it, it's about this character named Emily Wilde, and she's like kind of like a researcher, which she goes into all these fairy courts and kind of does research, but she winds up having to go on a quest with her cousin, or like her niece, I think, and her betrothed to a new set of fairies, and things go from there. So I gave it 4 stars. Definitely a series that I want to add to my re-experience list at some point, so take that for what it's worth. So I gave that book 4 stars. And then we're going to talk about my Peace Talk weekend and what I read during that weekend. The first book that I read during that weekend was The Wild Robot. I will attach a photo here. This was a super cute middle grade about a robot that winds up getting lost in the forest, and it's very, very found family focused. It was super quick. It had illustrations, and it had like interesting conversations about found family. It also had interesting conversations about nature versus nurture and just nature in general, and I thought it was so sweet. I really want to get the other 2 books. It was a very, very quick read. So if I'm looking for something super quick, I'll probably pick them up. I think my library has a lot of them as well. But it was just very, very fun, and I think it just scratched the found family itch that I was looking for. I always look for found family in my stories, and this one worked. And I gave that 4 stars. And then the next book I picked up was one that is called Saving Neverland by Abby Elpstone. I have really loved all of her other books, especially the Casper Talk series. This one fell a little bit flat for me, and I think it was because the characters weren't that unique. But you basically followed Martha Pennydrop, and she kind of lives in the old Wendy Darling house, and she kind of has to go on an adventure with Peter Pan to kind of save Neverland, and it was okay. I don't think it was that impressive. I'm definitely going to put this in my classroom for my students and make it be a book that they can like take home with them if they want. It was fun. I just didn't feel that connected to the characters, but if you're looking for a retelling like for young kids, I think this one was fun. I enjoyed it. It also was very, very wintry, so if you're looking for kind of a winter read, I would recommend it, but it wasn't a new favorite by this author. And then the next book that I read was another audiobook, and it's The Honeymoon Crashers by Christina Lauren. I will try to attach a photo here. This is the sequel, or like the companion, I guess, to the Honeymooners. If you've read that book, there was a sister that kind of got her wedding ruined, and this follows her as she is kind of trying to plan her other sister's wedding, and a romance is afoot. I love the audiobook for this one. I think it was an Audible original, and those audiobooks always have a lot of sound effects and special effects. Harry Shum Jr. was one of like the narrators. I had a super fun time. I think you should definitely read The Honeymooners before you go into this one. But it was a fun listen, very, very quick, very, very atmospheric. I felt like I was at the wedding. So I gave it 4 stars, and it was very, very quick though. So it was more of 4 for the audiobook because the audiobook was so well produced. But it was fun. I thought the ending was like a bit abrupt, but that's how I tend to feel when I read romance novellas. So not a big shock there. And then the next thing that I read was Keeper of the Lost Cities graphic novel part 1. I will attach a photo here. Keeper of the Lost Cities is definitely becoming one of my favorite like middle grade series, and this is a retelling of the same story. I think we're getting book 9.5, so this is half of book 1. These books are so chunky, so I'm happy that it's getting a new treatment, especially because they're so massive. I think for reluctant readers, it would be really, really fun. I love the art style. I love the characters. I love the story. And I think it ends off on like a good point. And I think this is a great like starting way to get into the series, especially because those books are so big. So to read kind of half the story and say, oh, to go finish it, go here. Good choice. So I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars, and definitely excited to see whenever we get subsequent novels because I'll definitely be picking them up. And then another middle grade sequel that I read was Fury of the Dragon Goddess by Sharwat Chadha. The reason I picked this one up is it had a blue cover and there was an animal on it. There was no school setting, but it was fun. I liked it. This book was very different from book 1. Book 1 was set in New York City. There was the rise of the play god. This had, what's his name? Sictor had a go. This is one of the Rick Riordan Present novels, and it's focused on Mesopotamian mythology. But Sictor wound up going to London to go with his cousin, and he winds up realizing that the world that he lives in may not be the correct one, and people from his past come back, and he has to kind of save the day. It was fun. I don't think it was that memorable. I think I definitely prefer book 1 in the series, but I did like the conversations they had about grief in this story a lot, and I like the new setting, so I gave it 3 stars for review. And then the next book that I read was, these were books that I was supposed to read during Peace Talks, but then I just got distracted. So I wound up reading All Systems Red by Martha Wells. I will attach the photo of that one here. And this was a very cute science fiction novella about a murderous robot, and it was fun. Like, I really enjoyed Murderbot a lot. It gave me like the thoughts I had when I read the Illuminae Files series and Aiden was a character, because he's just so like fun and he's just so unique and his point of view is very, very different. So I like that. It was just a little bit short. So I want to like, I gave it 3 stars. I want to keep reading, but it was a little bit short and I didn't feel that connected to the characters, but I know people love this series. I'm definitely going to give it more of a chance, but I did like it. I gave it 3 stars. I was intrigued. It was very, very short for me to feel that attached. And I tend to find that with novellas. To be very honest, I'm not really a novella reader or a short story reader. So these short form content don't always work for me. But in contrast, I read the next book in the Wayward Children series. I read Under the Sugar Sky. Here's a photo. And I like this one a little bit more. I gave this one 4 stars. This is definitely my favorite book in the series. I think I'm going to prefer the books set at the schools. So like 1 and 3. I think I'm going to prefer the odd number books because all the characters are together and they kind of go on quest together. This one I liked. It was very, very quick. It was a quick story. I enjoyed it. But this dynamic worked a lot for me. So I'm really curious to see where this series goes. They're all on my Everhand, so I'll definitely be picking them up as I need quick reads. But I struggle with short stories. I just do. So if you have any short stories that you actually like, that you feel connected to the characters and the plot, comment below because I would love them. But these are the 2 series that I'm intrigued to keep on reading, at least for now. And then the next book that I read was Iron Flame. Iron Flame. This is another one, sort of like Emily Wilde, that I'm going to reread at a different time. And I'm going to reread it with Fantasy Fangirls podcast. So I'm going to kind of reread all of book 1 and then reread book 2 with them. Because I just feel like I missed something. I feel like I should have reread Fourth Wing before I went into this. I liked it, but I struggled with this book. And I don't know if it was because my mental state was not the best. It just felt very, very disjointed. So I'm going to make it a goal once my show's over and I have a little bit more time. I'm going to restart Fourth Wing with Fantasy Fangirls, and then I'm going to get to this by the end of the year because I want to be able to be prepped for Onyx Storm or whatever it's called. But I liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I just felt like my brain wasn't connected to the story. And I've heard I'm not alone, but I also want to give it another shot, which when I reread Fourth Wing, I think I'll have a little bit of a better reading experience for sure. And then the next thing that I read was Claws and Contrivances by Stephanie Burgess. I read this because it had a dragon on the cover and it also was blue. That was sort of my theme in this month. I was trying to read as much as I could for my team because I don't think I've ever been on a team that has won Realmathon. But this one was a fun time. It follows another sister in this series, and I really like the hero in this story, but we didn't get enough of him. We didn't get his point of view, and I think that made the story a little bit lackluster for me, but it was fun. We definitely dived into the magic of the dragons. It was basically a forced, like a fake romance, like a fake dating thing, and I enjoyed it. I had a fun time. It was fun. I think I want to reread it. I got it. I have the audiobook, but again, this is really when I was coming out of my slump, like my foggy brain. So, but I enjoyed it. I really do like the series. I hope we get book 3, and it was a fun time. I just wish we had the male point of view in this story. So, and then the last thing that I finished reading in the month that I finished reading today was Destroy the Day by Bridget Kimmerer, and I love this book. I gave it 5 stars. This is the final book in the series, and it just really worked for me. I had such a fun time with this read, and I will say, if you read Defy the Night and loved it, I think this series is going to be for you. I think book 1 and book 2 are very, very similar. Book 3 is very, very different. You basically follow 3 different stories that doesn't come together until the very, very end. There is LGBTQ plus elements in here, and I just like this series a lot. If you don't know anything about this series, I will give you a bit of a refresher because I liked book 3 a lot. Basically, you follow Codric and Tessa, and you meet them in book 1, and they are running antibiotics through this kingdom because there's a plague going on. But little do you know, Tessa is like a vigilante, and she's kind of trying to help everyone. Weston, who she thinks it is actually the crown prince, and they have an uneasy alliance, and it's just a very, very political heavy story, and I really liked it. I gave it 5 stars. Definitely would recommend. I would recommend you read them back to back if you could. So yeah, let's go through the books that I got or acquired this month and what I'm going to do with them. I would normally do this in my reset vlog, but I didn't do it that way. So I did get Bride from Allie Hazelwood, and as much as I love Bride, I'm gonna sell this one on Pango. So yeah, did get it. I liked it. I just don't think I'm gonna reread it, so I don't think I need a copy of it. I'm also going to sell this copy of Heartless Hunter because I have another one that I like a little bit better. So this one will go on my Pango. Dreams and Destiny is gonna go into my classroom for my students because it's an arc that I can't sell. 4 Weddings and a Puppy I'm gonna bring to work, and one of my coworkers will take it. Stars and Smoke I'm going to list on Pango. Yeah, this is just how I decide, like at the end of the month. I'm gonna keep Destroy the Day because I really, really did like it. I'm gonna keep Claws and Contrivances because I really do like this cover. I'm gonna keep the Mystery Guest because I did like it. It was my second 5-star read of the month. Iron Flame I'm gonna keep because at this point I want the whole series to match. And then Fury of the Dragon Goddess is gonna go into my classroom. And Saving Neverland is going to go into my classroom. So I have, yeah, so that is all that we have. I wanted to make sure that all that was organized. So yeah, let me know in the comments, what was your favorite book of the month? If I had to choose my favorite books of the month, I would probably say these 3 definitely made the biggest impression. Destroy the Day by Bridget Kimmerer, Royal Scandal that I read in the first half of the month by Amy Carter, Claws and Contrivances by Stephanie Burgess, and The Mystery Guest by Nita Prose. Let me know in the comments, what have you been loving recently, and I will talk to you guys for my next video.